Hi everyone, it's Tracy Lewin.
And Peter Murray. Good morning, Tracy.
Hello, Peter. So, look at the Bitcoin price. But I
Yeah.
see there was a little bit of a drop here, a little bit of a major drop.
It looks like a cliff. I think the price fell off a cliff. Because why? Because the ETF was not approved.
Yes.
Now, let's see. Now, maybe some people get out of the fixation on the ETF because it's going to take a while before another ETF application will be made.
Yes, however, they are saying that the door is open. So, and of course, there's another ETF coming up at the end of the month, but that's a foregone conclusion that won't be approved. So all the others will need to go back to the drawing board as well. But you know what? Just look how the price has now recovered. It's back up to 1162. And you know what, Peter? I just think that as Bitcoin starts maturing and gets more adoption and more people see that there's a bigger picture here, the more the less volatile Bitcoin will become, and then that, of course, will bring all the other, let's say, the ETFs, etc., and other investment opportunities.
Well, the thing is, the world is not one investment opportunity, whatever. People forget Bitcoin is a global phenomena. It's not in one country or in one economy or whatever. Yes, of course, it would have brought in a lot of new players into the Bitcoin arena if this ETF was approved. But those players are going to come into the arena eventually anyway. And there's many other things that are currently moving the Bitcoin price. There's demand from everywhere.
Yes.
And as we know from Bitcoin is there's actually, increasing demand, and there's a decrease in supply on a consistent basis as less and less Bitcoins are produced. So, that demand supply curve is constantly moving in the favor of demand. As long as more people adopt and more countries and more companies adopt Bitcoin, the price has to go up. And this is what the long-term picture that people need to actually have in their minds is that, as Bitcoin expands and rolls all over the world, and it hasn't even started yet. Like I said before, these prices are cheap, extremely cheap, if you look at the long term.
Yes. So, yeah, and of course, some countries are doing a lot more than others. But, once it starts, it starts to become like a domino effect. And there will be more and more countries that will say, okay, fine, what did Japan do? What did China do? What did these countries do to get regulation in? So all of that stuff is coming down the line. So it's really just the first movers that need to get moving.
Yes, that is right. And also, what people are going to focus on now is how to get Bitcoin, let's call it exchange regulation ready. So
Yes.
now actually people are going to go and say, especially in the US, how can we regulate Bitcoin exchanges? How can we do this? Because this is what the SEC says we need. So that's going to be, I think, the next step. I think the next thing we'll see that the Winklevoss brothers are trying to push for that regulatory environment, which will make this impossible, because they actually announced that they're seeing this through, they're not stopping. And I don't think anybody's stopping. Everybody's just going to find a way to work through this.
Yes. And, as you said, they did cite the fact that it was the whole regulation thing worldwide that's important. And I was actually at a conference last week, and they said that this is the year of regulation. So it's definitely on everybody's minds, and it's coming.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens.
So here, China says, China had the power. Government advisor urges not to abandon Bitcoin. And of course, this guy's talking about the fact that, the People's Bank of China went to suspend some of those exchanges. But this is really a good thing, because they are making sure that regulation starts, and China's doing a hang of a lot to make sure that it's happening.
This is what people forget. The Chinese could actually have banned Bitcoin, but they didn't. They actually went and said, look, we're enforcing regulations.
Yes, exactly. So here's another article. New Hampshire's Bitcoin MSB exemption clears first vote. And this says here they've advanced a measure that would exempt Bitcoin traders in the state from money transmitter requirements.
Yes, because in some state like New York, if you're a Bitcoin exchange, I'm not sure how it affects personal traders, but you are required to have a money transmittance license.
Yes, and yeah, interesting. Okay, first filing to final decision, the journey of the Winklevoss Bitcoin ETF. There's going to be a lot of news coming through on this ETF, but you know, this journey has been 3 years in the making, and they're certainly not going to give up anytime soon. It's just the beginning, really.
Yes, the story continues.
The story continues. And here it continues with Craig Wright as well. It says here, Craig Wright wants to kill Satoshi by becoming him again. Why and how? You know, there's a lot of talk about him because he's Craig Wright, Australian. He has got so many patents that he has lodged. So let's see. And they're saying it's a land grab for intellectual property.
That's very interesting. And it's all blockchain and Bitcoin related.
Yes. It says you have 400 patent applications on Bitcoin and blockchain related technology. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of patents. I would love to see those patents. We should go scour the US patent office and see what we can find.
Definitely. So People's Bank of China lists new rules for Chinese Bitcoin exchanges. So there's a whole bunch of rules and that they need to abide by.
Well, that is regulation, isn't it?
Yes, correct. You know, and here they are. Actually, there's 8 rules over here, but there's probably a whole lot more. But the interesting one I thought to just chat about was this: producing fake volume and manipulating the market using zero fees. I mean, remember last year we were thinking, oh my goodness, you know, China is 98% of all trading, and you start to worry when you think that there's one group or one country that is, well, really one country that is dominating the Bitcoin scene. But you know, after all of this, these suspensions in the beginning of the year, the price started to grow, and the Chinese are not even in the market. So that's an interesting one.
I think the People's Bank of China did a great job because they found out that the guys were trying to manipulate the price and they stopped it. Well done to them.
Yes, well done to them. And I mean, it's a real revelation to the world because now we don't really have to worry so much. And that's why every single event that actually happens is going to have less and less effect on the Bitcoin price because the market is growing and it's maturing.
I think the world, especially the Western world, has this perception that China is this cowboy country where everything just happens and, you know, there's no rules and regulations and stuff like that. But this is entirely not true. The Chinese is a very organized China is a very organized place with lots of financial rules and regulations in place. So I'm glad that this is now finally being seen, is that they are actually doing a splendid job.
Excellent, Peter. And of course, everybody wants to know how to make money with Bitcoin. Here's an explainer video just to give you some suggestions. But
that's interesting.
Yeah. But you know, the best way is actually just to get your Bitcoin and make it grow. I mean, Bitcoin price is going to, if you have a look at the differences between, in fact, I should do some more of these graphs of, you know, if you had bought a couple of years ago with certain currencies, what would you have, what would your Bitcoin, or what would your money have grown to in Bitcoin? And it's actually a huge amount. Some of them are up to, like, in 2 years, some of them are about 500%.
That's amazing. Well, some of your emerging currencies lost a lot of money in the last few years.
Yes. Well, Bitcoin's a natural hedge against fiat currency. So BIS endorsed distributed ledger technology, DLT, for payments, clearing and settlement.
Well, BIS is the Bank of International Settlements, and
Yes.
they are going to, you know, definitely look at the blockchain, that's for sure.
Yes, they are. And let's go up. Ontario Securities Regulator issues warning about ICOs, initial coin offerings.
Well, I remember somebody discussing this in London, and that is right, because people have this idea that if you just create a coin, you can now raise capital by selling that coin as an investment to people. But ultimately, if you're selling that coin linked as being a stake in your business, in most countries, you'll be transgressing the securities laws because you're already selling shares to the public. And I don't think there's anywhere where that activity is not regulated. So people think if you do it in Bitcoin somehow, there's some exemption, or in an altcoin or whatever. But there's not, because if you link it to actually a share in a company, you're really disguising the coin as a share. And that's where the regulation problem starts.
Okay, I understand that. Wow. And you know what? Just talking about altcoins and all the development around it, or and these ICOs, is that we had an article yesterday or the day before on GitHub. There are thousands of projects going on. There are a lot of them are open source. Well, they are open source, but a lot of them are altcoins.
Yeah, there's nothing particularly wrong in creating an alternative coin. Where the problem comes in this scenario is you use it to create an ICO in place of an initial public offering. You create an initial coin offering, which is really just a way to disguise your IPO for regulation purposes, which is that's where the problem lies. The problem doesn't lie because people now would very easily say that altcoins are illegal. That's not what this is saying.
No, not at all. In fact, you know what? You can, if you wanted to buy some altcoins, you can actually buy it on the coin exchange that we've got on our blog. So it's pretty nifty that. It's also anonymous.
That's a very interesting exchange. Go there and try it out. You can change your Bitcoin to Ethereum and your Ethereum into Bitcoin or Dash, or there's a few others on there.
Now that there's so much talk on mainstream media as well, there's many people who want to know how to start with Bitcoin. And here's a blog, detailing everything. And of course, the first thing that you need to do is you have to educate yourself. So all the links are in there, and of course it's free. Yeah. Oh, it looks like I did this twice. This must have been an important story in my life. I've done it twice on the page. Let's move up. BitPay raises invoice minimum 24,000%. CEO says Bitcoin working perfectly. So they moved their minimum invoice amount from 4 cents to $1 as miners' fees take its toll. Because there's a lot of talk about the miner fees at the moment, because the average seems to be about $1. And I noticed on this morning when I had a look, all the unconfirmed transactions, it was like over 50,000 again.
Well, what happens is those unconfirmed transactions are still set at very low fees. I remember that a specific wallet that we've been using had the fee set at 0.0001, which at that time was like 4 cents. And those fees, like the guy said, it's now climbed to over $1. So, it's really... so if you have a dollar invoice, your fee and the invoice is going to be the same amount. This is actually bad news for micropayments, because it makes it very, very difficult to confirm those payments at a level where it makes sense.
And in actual fact, they're also saying that there's probably one hang of a lot of wallets out there that have got small amounts, and actually, like you say, the whole micropayment side of things. I mean, $1 could be a bit much to send that kind of money out. So there's a lot of people that are probably going to leave those small amounts in various wallets. So that's another lot of Bitcoin that's out of the system.
Yes.
Okay, research says claims of terrorism finance with Bitcoin are exaggerated. So, it's nice to actually see some of these stories coming out, because it's strange that people seem to always think, oh, well, with Bitcoin, you're going to have a problem. But I was actually listening to, I think it was Andreas Antonopoulos, and he was talking about the fact that, people kind of link drugs and buying drugs with Bitcoin. And he said, what it is? It's actually because people still want drugs, so they will use the method of payment that's not going to harm them, because and that's what they do. And that's probably why, there's probably still some stuff going on in Bitcoin anyway, and there's nothing you can stop it. But there's also cash, that's another way of doing it. So I'm glad to see that they say that it's, in terms of terrorism, that it's exaggerated.
I think Bitcoin is moving towards global adoption, and these things you won't even read about anymore.
Yes. I like this one. I'd like to buy a wallet. Which color would you like? Red. Amazing, hey?
Yeah.
Bitcoin price on a wild ride as market anticipates ETF. And yes, it went up to, in fact, they say over here did another all-time high of 1,350. Of course, that does depend on which exchange you're looking at. But you know what? It's just growing, and it's growing and growing and growing. But we need a little bit of stability now. And I'm wondering if there's going to be some volatility over the next while.
Oh, there's going to be extreme volatility, Tracy. We have so many things happening. We have these in April. The Japanese government is coming out with some new money laws. The French elections, the geopolitical risks this year is gonna dwarf any importance the ETF had. And I think this is what if France somehow elects this right-wing party of Marie Le Pen, that the euro could be history.
Yes. The euro could be history, and that's a huge thing because they'd obviously leave the EU because she doesn't like globalism.
Well, interesting. George Soros has predicted this 5 years ago.
Sure. That's amazing, hey? Yeah, so I think this year is going to be the year. It's going to be very exciting. Wow. So much action.
There is extreme action this year, and the action is going to come more and more.
Yes. And here's a new startup. It's called Abra. Abra pose a threat to the Bitcoin. Does Abra pose a threat to the Bitcoin ATM industry?
I think the ATM industry, like I've told you before, I wouldn't invest in a Bitcoin ATM because if the banking system decides to embrace Bitcoin, your ATMs would be worthless because banks have ATMs already installed. Yes. And they could just make, give you the opportunity to withdraw another currency.
So Abra is a Bitcoin-based remittance app, and as far as I can see, it's only in the States at the moment. I'll keep an eye on there to see when it gets to other countries. Okay, here's this article about the ETF, not winning that bid. So
just on that Abra story.
Yes.
Abra is the major competition to another company in the UK called Kasha that remits money from the UK to India and Nigeria. So Abra is their biggest competition.
Yes. Okay, breaking, it says here, BitHer CEO, BitClub is performing SegWit-related attack against the network. A Chinese mobile wallet said on Friday morning that the BitClub pool launch is doing this attack. Launched a transaction malleability attack on the Bitcoin network during the night.
So they tried to create fake transactions for some reason. So who knows what is going on? We better keep an eye on this because this can become a huge story. But I don't understand why you would put your business at risk by doing something like this if you have a real business.
Yes. Industry speaks out in aftermath of Bitcoin ETF rejection. I mean, basically, everyone's just saying, it
I told you so.
Yeah, and in actual fact, if you spoke to anybody in the so-called experts, they would say that it was actually too soon, and the network's not ready, and that's what it is. So here's another blog, just pulling a whole lot of things together and actually just talking about the other stuff that's coming down the line, particularly from the Far East and regulation. So it's about the Chinese and the Japanese. They're on their way.
That's a very interesting story. So make sure you go read that. And please leave a comment below that blog. That would be quite interesting to hear what you guys think.
Yes, we'd love you to. And that's it. So
the news is a wrap. The ETF approval waiting is a wrap as well. So now we move on to the next thing.
And look, while we've been talking, 117236.
Yes.
And I think, yeah.
Looks like we're going to be above 1,200 very, very soon again.
I think people are hanging on to their Bitcoin.
Yes.
Or people, if they actually waited to buy their Bitcoin, if they waited for the ETF, they're now saying, "Oh my goodness, let's get in quick."
And this might be your last chance to get in at those levels.
Well, we'll definitely be watching this, and yeah, thanks, Peter, and we'll talk again soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Cheerio.